How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a special video for you all. We are going to be reviewing the Snyder Cut of Justice League. This is a very big video because I have been waiting for this movie for a very long time. I think the whole world has been waiting for this movie for a very long time, and today, finally, after all the hype that this film has been getting the past year or so, we finally got it. It just released this past Thursday, and I got a chance to see it, and I have to say, this movie is good. This is a good movie. This is much better than the original cut of Justice League that we got that was directed by Joss Whedon back in 2017. Almost 4 years ago now, which is crazy to think that it's almost been 4 years since this movie released. The original, anyway. And so now, Zack Snyder, who of course is the one behind this all, he got a chance to relive his vision because obviously he suffered a tragedy that had to make him leave filmmaking and making this film in particular for a good while. So Warner Brothers brought in Joss Whedon to finish up this film for them, and so it didn't go all that well. Personally, for me anyway. I know there's that group of people that do like the original cut of Justice League. I'm not one of those people. I do think it's a mediocre film. It's really not that good. It has a lot of flaws. It also has spurts of good stuff in there as well, but it's more bad than it is good, really, in my opinion. And so now we have the 4-hour cut, the Zack Snyder cut. What did I think? Well, I think it's a good film. I think it does so much better. There's so much in this movie that I wish I could harp on. And also, by the way, this is not going to be a spoiler review because I want to preface by saying this. The only real thing about this movie that is really spoilerish, that you would have to watch this film if you really wanted to know, is the last 30 minutes. The last 30 minutes of this is heavy spoilers. It's all new stuff. Everything else in this movie is just about the same thing in the first Justice League movie that we already got. It's basically the same plot. It's the same kind of... It goes about things the same way, just a little differently based on how Zack Snyder put his touch on them. So this is not going to be a spoiler review anyway. This is just going to be my non-spoiler review. I'll touch on certain things, and basically I want to go over my pros and cons, basically. That's all I want to do in this review. I'm not going to talk about the plot. I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff in depth, because, again, we've already seen this film already, again, in its own way. I know that both films do things very differently, but it is technically really the same story. So let's go over what I thought they did right. Number one, way better character development in this movie from all characters, minus a little bit from the Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman side, only because, again, we've already gotten movies from them. Technically, I know Batman didn't really get his own movie per se. He got Batman v Superman, but that's neither here nor there. But that's not to say that that wasn't good in this film. It's just that the other characters like Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg, they're the ones that got more development in this film, by far. And I thought that was a plus, for sure. None of Joss Whedon and his original film are in this movie. And I know some people will be saying, well, yes, it is. And it's like, I want to put my point to this topic is that there's not a single thing of Joss Whedon in this film. Yes, that is technically true, even though in this film you do see a lot of what was in Joss Whedon's cut. That doesn't necessarily mean that there is a scene that Joss Whedon filmed that's in this movie. I'm pretty sure everything that Joss Whedon filmed himself is not in the movie, but that doesn't mean that some of the shots that Zack used in Joss Whedon's cut aren't in this film. They are there. So everything that's Joss Whedon related is not in this movie, and it's for that's a good thing. The film is very entertaining. It's an epic. It has an epic ending. It kept me interested throughout the entire thing. I was never at once bored at any point, even though I had technically already seen, again, we go back to this point, I had already technically seen this film from Joss Whedon's perspective. But even so, with that, I still was very entertained. I never once got bored. I never wanted to like turn the movie off. I never wanted to look at my phone for an extended amount of time. None of that happened. The film takes its time developing everything up to create a simple, cohesive story, even with its flaws at certain points. And we'll get to those flaws for sure right after this. But again, this story was way more developed, way more effort was put. You could tell Zack put his effort and his hard time and energy into making sure that this story was way more cohesive than the original. And while the runtime may at some points have felt a little too long, I do think 4 hours was needed for this film, because after what we had already gotten, 2.5 hours from the original, or yeah, I think it was 2.5 hours or so from the original cut, that wasn't enough. And look, it's bad enough that, and I'm of the mind that DC, I think, has completely flopped how they've handled this universe. I really do believe that. They totally flopped how they handled this thing. They didn't, obviously, like, I'm not saying they had to go down the road of doing what Marvel did and give each character their own movie, but in a way, you kind of have to do that. And the fact that you cram in Aquaman, the Flash, and Cyborg without developing those characters and giving them any care, 4 hours for this cut was necessary to help develop those characters, considering that you didn't give them any movies. You only gave Wonder Woman and Superman, and technically Batman, their own films to give them their development. And it's like, that just wasn't enough. It felt very crammed. It felt very... and this is with the original. It didn't feel cohesive enough. And so 4 hours, again, while I said it felt long at points, I feel like it was necessary, 4 hours. And also as one film, because I know there was a rumor that they would do separate parts and like separate 1 hour episodes. I'm glad they did not do that. That would have been a terrible idea. Now, let's move on to the issues that I had with this cut. And there are issues. This is not by any means a perfect movie. It's not a great movie in my mind. I do think it's still a good movie, but it's a good movie with flaws. So let's discuss those flaws. Number one, and this is something I think a lot of people are going to notice. Mainly the number one thing people will notice the most. And that's that this film is... It doesn't look good at points. It really doesn't. There's a portion of this film that does not look very well made from a CGI perspective and a fight perspective. There are scenes in this movie where the fight scenes, that you could tell that they didn't really look all that well done. And the CGI, boy, there were some rough patches in the beginning, but then the roughest parts were very much in the last 30 minutes. Now, I can't talk about the last 30 minutes because that would involve talking spoilers, but the last 30 minutes of this film is a lot of unfinished, really bad looking CGI. It really is. And again, that's not really me giving anything away. I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff in the end with the last 30 minutes of this film that just does not look good. It does not look good. It looks unfinished. It looks like they didn't put enough money into it to really want to make it look good enough. So that was a flaw, in my opinion. It distracted me at certain points, especially in those last 30 minutes. Second massive issue I had was, now, this is in no way a spoiler because I'm not really giving anything away, but if you are somebody who is coming into this film really looking forward to the villain side of things, especially from the big bad, who is, of course, everybody knows this, Darkseid, you're going to be very, very disappointed, unfortunately. And I feel like I should say no more than that. I really do. I feel like I should say no more than what I just said. If you are somebody who was really looking forward to the villain side of this film, you're going to be massively disappointed, specifically with Darkseid. Just saying, all right? And that was one of my flaws. I felt it was lacking. I was like, okay. Now, I see what you're going for, but it's like, okay. Third thing is, now this is just a major nitpick. It's not a major issue. It's just a major nitpick I had because I felt it was so distracting and it just it didn't feel right. And that was Batman's voice. I have no idea what the hell they were doing when editing this movie, or when they were watching it through, like as any editor would do, or editors, depending on how many worked on the film. Batman's voice in this cut of Justice League is awful. I don't know if it was me or my sound system that I used, but Batman's voice sounded terrible in this cut. Compared to the other movies he's been in, it sounded so bad here. It sounded very robotic and mechanical mixed with his, dark, deep voice. It sounded like two things were combined with each other, and it sounded so terrible. I have no idea what the deal was with that. Again, maybe it was just me, but I don't know. That got on my nerves. All right, moving on. A lot of questionable music choices. Now, this doesn't mean that the score of the film was bad. I do really like the music in this film. There's a lot of good music choices in this film done by Junkie XL, who was the composer for the film. But there are music choices in this film that I just thought didn't work. I don't know why they needed to do the whole, opera type thing. There's a lot of opera type, like church-like music. Like, there's a lot of godly, church-like, religious music used in this movie. I don't know why that was a thing, because I know Zack Snyder does that a lot in his films. I don't know why he did that here. There's a lot of parts where that didn't make sense, and I thought it was unnecessary. So let's talk about Steppenwolf now. Steppenwolf, of course, as everybody knows, he's the, at least for the original, he was the main villain. Steppenwolf was the main villain in the original Joss Whedon cut. And in that movie, he was really bad. It was just nothing but a all CGI character with a human-looking CGI, because of course he's not human. He's like an alien. He had like a human face. It looked terrible. Here, while I will say for the most part, it did get on my nerves how much he really was used in this film. He does look way better. He's a lot more scarier in this movie for sure. He's way better in this film. It's not even a question. He's better in this film. Now, the sixth and final issue I had with this film is the ending. Now, I already mentioned it already. The last 30 minutes of this film, this is where the questions really start to come out. And the only thing I will say is that it involves the nightmare sequences revolving around the character of Batman and Bruce Wayne. I really wanted to question why Zack Snyder decided to put this in this film, because the last 30 minutes of footage in this film was all new stuff. And when I mean new stuff, I don't mean new footage that we hadn't seen before that Zack Snyder already shot. I'm talking about new stuff that I'm sure Zack Snyder probably shot very recently. Because I'm trying not to go too hard. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but a lot of this stuff in the last 30 minutes just, I have so many questions. I had so many problems with what I was looking at on screen. A lot of the shots and the directing choices for how he shot the scenes in the last 30 minutes was so questionable. I do not know why he framed certain shots the way he did. There were so many things that were distracting me with the lighting. And then the CGI, of course, I mentioned it already. The CGI was awful. It looked terrible. I mean, really, really bad. Like, I've heard some people say it already, like video game looking CGI. Like, if you saw the CGI in a video game and you put it in a film, that's what it would look like. So, again, I don't know. The last 30 minutes definitely leave a lot of questions for sure, as far as what is installed for the future. Are we getting more of this stuff in the future from Zack Snyder? Are we going to continue the stories of these characters? Are we getting a Justice League 2? Because in a way, the ending of this film kind of does set that up. But we don't know what's going to happen. This was you know, it's been said that, you know, this was Zack Snyder's last hurrah. This was the last thing he was doing for any of these movies. And the ending, it leaves the door open. But is he going to be the one front and center for that? You know, we don't know what's going to happen. And so we have a lot of questions to ask for the time being, for the future, for the foreseeable future. We don't know what's going to happen. So for right now, this is really all we can talk about is this film. Like, what more can we do? And I guess it really just all depends on the success. How successful is this cut going to be? Obviously, it's only been out for a couple of days now, as of the time of me recording this and uploading it to YouTube. It's only been out for a few days. We have no idea what it's going to do. It's being released on HBO Max. I don't know what the deal is with the theaters. I'm pretty sure this is an HBO Max exclusive. It's not going to theaters because at the end of the day, it is a 4-hour film. 4-hour films are difficult enough to put in theaters. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know what's going to happen. Overall, like, this is really all I have to say about the film. Overall, again, I thought it was a good film. There's more good in it than there is bad. It does have its flaws, but I think the good outweighs the bad. And overall, guys, as I just said, the good outweighs the bad. It's a much better film than what we had gotten originally with the Joss Whedon cut. And for that, I am going to rate this film a 7 out of 10. A solid 7 out of 10. I would have originally, for the Joss Whedon cut, I would have given that movie either a 3 or a 4 out of 10. It just was a mess of a film, that original cut. This new cut, the Zack Snyder cut, is definitely a better iteration. Again, good film, not a great film. 7 out of 10. That's what I rated. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this review. I really appreciate the support you guys have been showing me. Please comment down below in the comment section. How do you feel about this movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What do you think is going to happen in the future? Again, and don't spoil anything, because again, this is a non-spoiler review. You guys, if you want to go watch a spoiler review, I'm sure everybody else on the internet is talking about it. For now, I'm going to keep it to a non-spoiler review for this film in particular. And as far as what the future holds for movie reviews, of course, movie theaters are getting back up and running, guys. And I'm happy to say that potentially the next movie review that I do on this channel will probably be for Godzilla vs. Kong, which is coming out at the very end of this month. We're about a week or two away. You guys are definitely going to get a review from me on that. If I can make it out to a theater and get a screening for that film, I will do my best. You will definitely get a review for that movie because I am super pumped to watch that movie. I have been so excited. It's now my most anticipated movie going into the summer season. Obviously, we're in the spring season now. Going into summer season, spring season, this is my most anticipated film. I can't wait. And hopefully I can get a review out to you guys once that releases. So other than that, guys, if you are new here, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I really appreciate the support, guys. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys all so much for tuning into the video. Peace out, everybody.